Hello, good morning. This is Jeff at the Glorious Uncertainty. It is Sunday, the 31st of May. How are you? Are you okay? It's the account today. As promised, every Sunday that is going to happen. The account up to date at SP, not at the best prices you could have got, trying to squeeze something out of it. If this works at SP, we have cracked it. Right. First things first, as Peter Kay said. AI. I get this all the time. You're using AI. Oh my God. Yes. I'm using AI. But how do you use AI? Do you know how to use AI? Do you think you just go on the tippy tappy and you just put in what's going to win the 2 o'clock at Carlisle? Because what happens with AI, and I'll explain it to you, AI ventures off, if you ask it that question, it ventures off into the internet world and it finds opinions. It doesn't draw its own conclusions at that point. Comes back and then gives you an overview of what people in the so-called know about the certain race. So it regurgitates. Okay? That's what it does if you ask it that question. How I use AI, how I use it. If you remember on the Jacajaro win, the big win we had, I said I don't have much time. And when I say I don't have much time, I mean that, well, I don't have much time, but I need to convert, I had to be more efficient in how I operated. So, what you do with AI, what I do with AI, I use it to speed up the process of looking at certain aspects. So, let's say the top speed. We'll just use that as an example, top speed. I used to have reams of paper, reams of paper with all the stats, and I used to put them, I have my own little coding on my iPad, and it was hard work, time consuming. Now, AI can do it like that, right? But that's down to coding and instruction from me. So I educate AI in looking at certain aspects relating to the race that we're looking at. And it does it very quickly. It's the same with the Racing Post notes. You can go through the notes of every runner and it takes positives and negatives, again, how I've instructed it. But that's the hard bit, is instructing it. The other thing with AI is you have to keep it. Imagine, how do you explain it? You have to tell it is not allowed to go and use outside influence. Imagine you're at a party, right? And you're having a conversation with somebody, and somebody next to you who's not involved in the conversation overhears it. And then they go off and say something else. Then they go to somebody else. By the time it comes back to you, it's completely different from what you want. That's what AI does. So what you've got to do is take AI and you put it in a cupboard. And you go in the cupboard with AI and you say, you're not talking to anybody else but me. And that was one of the hardest lessons I had to learn. AI is very clever, too clever for its own good sometimes. You have to control it. So do I use AI? Of course I do, because it speeds up the process. Do I just simply put in AI, go and find me our winner somewhere? No, because it just goes off and gets some generic view off the internet. That's not the way you do it. It's quite in-depth how I do it. Very in-depth. Right. So I hope that's out the way. Right, the second point, van life, because that was a point of contention earlier in the week, and the guy has apologized and offered to assist in the mathematics side of things, which I'm going to be in touch with them. But Because I'll tell you why I'm going to do that as well. Because this is not a closed shop. We're in this together. We're against the book. And then people who come in, and you will notice this, who snipe from the sidelines, aren't prepared to do this on this side of the screen. Hello. They'll do it from the side. They're coming from the side and then they'll have a swipe. This guy wasn't having a swipe. Anyway, all that sorted out. The hardest thing to do is this. The hardest thing to do. And those that do it, I've got nothing but admiration for them. It is very, very difficult. Very difficult. You've got to, just going nipping back to the AI thing. The other thing is, with AI, it does remove the emotional side of selecting. It really does remove that, and that is critically important when you're being analytical, and not getting too emotionally involved with a certain horse. You always have favorite horses. Anyway, going back to what we were saying, I can't remember what we were saying now. I've gone off on one. So let's go on to the account. Okay, we'll go on to the account. I'm just firing up the iPad. So people on the sidelines who have a go, there's a saying, I think it's those that can do, those that can't teach. So we're here to beat the book. Me, you, we're here to beat the book. And if I can beat the book here, I'll be pleased with that. Very pleased with that. And I'm quite sure that we can. So let's get into the account. The update. Are we actually betting badly? That's a question. So again, I've got this scripted out. Today I wanted to talk to you about the account. Not the winners, not the profit, not the strike rate in particular. I want to talk about something much more important, the near misses. Because it has been following the account. If you've been following the account, you'll know what's gone from a peak profit of over 40 points down to around 7 points. And if you look at the P&L, you could easily conclude the wheels have come off. All right. But have they? Have the wheels come off? Let's dig deeper. So the current account is, total stake is 108.75 points. That's how much we've staked on all of the horses. The current profit is 7.66 points. That's a return on investment of 7%. Okay? So the peak profit was 40.66 points. The current drawdown is 23.5%. Now, on the surface, that doesn't look great. We've given back a large chunk of the early gains. But here's the important question. Have we suddenly stopped finding horses, or have we stopped converting that into opportunities? And those are two very, very different things. The numbers that changed my thinking, I went back through the account and not looking for winners, looking for horses that had that had run huge races without winning. And what I found surprised me, that recently the account had produced 12 horses finishing either second or third. Not favourites at odds on, not obvious horses, 12 competitive horses at an average XP of around 7-1. That's an average SP of around 7-1 that we're finding that don't quite do it, second or third. Now think about that. 12 horses, it's actually 13 horses, not 12. 13 in the first three of average odds at around 7-1. So your second places, Here's just a quick listen. Far From Dandy 11-4, Fierce 11-2, Kiss and Run 17-2, Billy Mill 4-1, Mr. Bird, Mr. Bluebird even 8-1, Fort Vega 16-1, Minimac 5-1, Cool Ree 4-1, Zubaru 11-4, and Palace Lord at 25-1. That wasn't included. I forgot to put that on the list. That was third at 25-1. And of course, then you've got the other third places, which are Runswick 9-1, Another Arcona 15-2, Quest for Fun 11-2. Now, that is not a broken method. It's not. If these horses we're talking about, if they're all finished like 10th, 12th, 14th, whatever, getting hammered, I'd be concerned, because that suggests the framework isn't finding competitive runners. And you've got to find those competitive runners. It's difficult when you're doing it a day in and day out and you're being beaten by the bookmaker. But this is why I do the account, because when you go back over the account and you can really see whether you're doing things right, as in you're finding value, because if you're finding value and you're finding an edge, that's showing on the account. Not only from the winners, because obviously you need the winners to boost up your bank, but it also means if you're getting in the frame, you're doing it right at value prices. Like I say, if we're getting hammered all the time, which in fairness, we have, the past couple of days haven't been brilliant, have they? So at the moment, the layers are steering the ship, and the backers, that's us, we're just struggling a bit. We've repeatedly found horses that running right into the finish. That's what's happening. They're travelling. They're trading short. They're trading shorter on the running. They're getting involved. They're simply not getting their heads in front. That's the problem. Subaru and Coolry this week, I think it was a head and a neck, whatever. But if we weren't getting close, I would be worried. But this is, they're simply not getting their heads in front. And that is a completely different problem. Now, there was a lesson today, this week, and it was from Carlisle. Now, you've heard me talk about Top Speed and how well Top Speed's doing at the moment. And it is doing extremely good. And this week gave us a biggest lesson the entire project when I've gone back through. But you've got to be careful, because that's just a snapshot. And that was Popstar in the Carlisle 310. The horse ranked top going Top Speed, top conditions Top Speed, top field size Top Speed, a positive draw, positive running style match. Yet it was aggressively downgraded because of a projected pace concern. And of course, like every sob story, the horse went and won. And that race now became one of the foundation races in what I call the assessment lab, because it reinforced something important, really, that horse. Projected pace, when you read it on GG's, the projected pace is a guide. It's a guide. Projected pace is not an override. Historical evidence happened. Projected pace is simply an opinion about what might happen. So those two things should never, ever carry equal weight. The winners are still there. Let's not forget. The account has already produced 14-1. Let's go. Jackajaro 14s, Jagged Edge 10s, Miss Farr 17-2, Novella Lad 5-1, Crimson Spirit 4-1, Quokers Time 7-2, Citadel 11-4, many others. The winners haven't disappeared. The challenge is in identifying which of the shortlisted horses deserves the largest stake, and that is one of the hardest things, the toughest things to do. That's where the next evolution of this framework that I'm doing, that's where it sits. So what the account is really telling us, with all of these second places and third places and winners, I don't think this is a story about losing. I think it's a story about conversation. The framework is still producing competitive horses. The framework is still producing horses that outrun market expectation. The framework is still finding value, and that is the most important thing. One of the most important things. Well, it's the most important thing when you put actually parting with your hard-earned, but finding value based on facts. That's what we're doing. What it's not doing often enough right now is turning those opportunities into winners, and that is much more of a solvable problem, I think. Much more. So my final thoughts on the account are these. Yes, we're in profit. We are. A lot of people will look at the account and see the drawdown. I look at the same account and see 11 winners. 13 recent horses finishing second or third. Multiple double figure price runners hitting the frame. And a framework that continues to put horses into contention. The market doesn't pay for near misses, but near misses tell us whether the process is alive, and that's important, very important. So that's it on the account. That's it on AI. I hope all of that has cleared the air. Of course, I'm going to use AI, but I use it as a tool. I use it as a tool to analyze, not to make final decisions. That's not what it's there for. That's it from me. It's now been 16 minutes of your Sunday. 16 minutes. Wow. I'm going to have a look at Thirsk tonight. There might be something there. I'll have a look. I hope that's cleared everything up for everybody. Don't forget, it's value, not winners. Yes, we need the winners, of course we do. But if you're backing everything at 5-2, 6-4, 13-8, oh, that is a tough uphill struggle. Our average is 7-1. Average is 7-1. It's just we've got to hit those horses and find another vein of winners. That's it from me. Cheers. Thanks for your time. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers and bye for now. Bye-bye.